Steve said that you're unlimited now. There's no more restrictions lifted for you. What does that mean to you? And also, will you be starting tomorrow?
It feels good just knowing everything's moving in the right direction, managing the injury and these first 4 games. It's obviously been a little different, and trying to make the most of it. And it's gone pretty well in terms of the first 2 games with the minute restriction. The third game kind of bumping up a little bit, and then getting to a normal playoff rotation in terms of 37 minutes and feeling good. My body came out fine and all that, so I'm not worried about it moving forward. And then, what was the other question?
Steph, assuming at some point you do go back into the starting lineup, you've talked so much about what it has shown to the rest of the team and really to the rest of the league that you've made this move. Will you pull aside the person that gets removed from the starting lineup and have a conversation with them once you go back in?
Nah, but it's the essence of who we are. It's the essence of how we do things, and understanding that take Draymond, Clay, Wiggs, JP, Loon, myself. Like, we've had plenty of other guys start at points throughout the year. Every season, every situation you find yourself in, you have to just make the right call in terms of what's in the spirit of winning and giving yourself and your team the best shot at winning. And that's everything should line up to that. And we should be able to handle whatever decisions or whatever role you have to kind of assume, based on what the answer to that question is.
Steve was talking about how Denver got really physical with Jordan in last game. This is something that teams have done to you way back to early in your career. I was just wondering, when they first started doing it to you, what did you learn about that, and what are kind of the keys to combating when in the playoffs teams ratchet up the physicality?
It's all reps and understanding, like, adjustments from game to game. And obviously this is his first playoff series where you're playing the same team over and over and over again, and they were trying to find different ways to slow you down. And the biggest thing is just to not rush. Like, you're going to get your looks, whether it comes in flurries or whether it's kind of sustained over the course of the game, or whether you're the decoy that opens up stuff for everybody else. You just get more comfortable with making those adjustments, and understand you can still have an impact even if it's not as loud and, you have those crazy moments where you're going on runs and you're the one that's always finishing the play. It just happens throughout the course of a series. So the physicality is one thing where he's fine with that. It's just you can't try to force yourself through it and force the issue. Try to make the game as easy as you can on yourself. Going through those, like, Cleveland series, I had learned that, getting hit on off-ball screens and all that type of stuff. You got to kind of learn what that feels like and push through it, but also that it's going to open up something for somebody else. And over the course of 48, you figure like you'll get plenty of looks.
Stephen, sometimes veterans can be kind of wary of young guys in the postseason. What did Jordan do over the course of the season to let you guys know that he would be okay?
Just be himself. And kind of to the last question, like, the playoffs is a different beast, and you have to have trust in the guys that are in the rotation. And guys that I even shouldn't say in the rotation, guys that are going to help you win the game and going to help make an impact and help make life easy for the veterans. And he's definitely shown the consistency over a sustained, stretch of the season, the different ways he gets his offense going, the attention he's starting to draw, the strides he's making defensively to increase the effort and awareness and focus on that end of the floor. So it's not one specific thing. It's just a sustained effort and approach to what he does. He's been doing that since his rookie year. Just it hadn't always produced into results on the floor, but that work ethic and the approach behind the scenes that not many people get to see, that's where the trust is built.
Staying on the topic of young guys and trust, after Game 4, Draymond said that Jonathan's in the place where he's still trying to earn that trust. So what did you see out of Jonathan in Game 4, and what does he need to do to stay on that path of earning trust from not only his veteran teammates but his coaches?
Exactly what he did. Play with effort, play the way that he knows how to play the game. Use his athleticism, his energy, fly up and down the floor. Try to limit your mistakes defensively. And the biggest thing is it's only been 4 games, and we've won 3, lost 1, obviously. We'll hopefully have a lot more coming down the pipe. Again, hopefully close this series out, get to the next one. Like, things change so quickly. For J.K., for D. Lee, Juan, Moses, like guys that haven't gotten a lot of looks so far, like things change so quick that you have to just stay ready. I know that's really hard to do because the practice days get long, the preparation kind of wears on you when you're not getting out there in the fight, but that's the challenge that everybody has to be ready for, especially when you're in that role and in that position on this team. So encourage everybody to just stay locked in.
Steph, just want to circle back to something you said before the series, just about your foot, about managing the pain or managing where you're at. I mean, can you update us on where you are with that pain management?
It's still part of the process, but it's every game it gets less and less. That's the hardest. That was one of the challenges that Rick and the entire performance team were trying to get me to where I don't have to think about it when I'm out there and know that the minutes I want to play, it's not going to get worse from game to game, and you can always just allow time to continue the healing process. So we're still on that journey, even though I can bump my minutes up to what they're usually at and do it safely.
Hey, Steph, during the playoffs, the media and the fans tend to get on an emotional roller coaster and kind of overreact and stuff. You as a player, do you like to come into every game in the playoffs on the same emotional level, or do you get extra geeked up because you're down 2-1, or do you like to have an even keel?
Every game you get hype and you get to that 10 out of 10 level. I think through experience you're able to kind of pace yourself in between games a little bit better, get away from the game. Obviously, you do your film study, do your treatment, get your mind, your body right, but you can find ways to keep things normal outside of the locker room and the arena and try to keep life normal so you can slow down that way. I think I was telling my wife yesterday and some other people, like, I forgot how long the playoffs actually are. Like, we haven't even played 5 games in the first series yet, and you're thinking, like, all that's the commotion and the noise and just the amount of time that we've been, it feels like a lot longer than it has been. So that's part of, to your question, like just being able to pace yourself in between games so you don't wear yourself out mentally, but physically. And when you get out there, every playoff game feels like a 10 out of 10, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, quick follow-up. Clay said he gets away from that stuff or keeps on an even keel because he's got his boat and he reads books and stuff. Do you have any tricks like that? Any movies, books, any things you do?
A little bit of everything. I play more. I haven't tried. I got to play golf, see how the foot feels when I do that. Get to play with the kids at the house. It's spring break this week, so a lot of energy at the crib right now. So that's probably all I got time for.
I want to circle back to health, but with Jordan at the center of the question, because this is the longest he's played in his career, the farthest that he's gone. He dinged his elbow, he's got his wrist tape, he's got his fingers taped. That goes back to the regular season too. But with an increase in physical play, and he wants to play physical too, what do you try to impart on Jordan or any of the young guys about the physical demands of the playoffs?
It's part of, like, nobody's 100%, nobody's not dealing with something. There are different varying degrees of pains that you deal with. Energy levels kind of swing up and down. He's got he comes in with 7 ice bags on after every game. That's the stuff that you have to do at this level. But you got to just embrace it and not run from it in terms of or don't dwell on like what's going on. It's just a part of your process. It's just a part of like in between games. You know what you have to do from treatment, from your workouts and stuff to get your body right and recover. What kind of rest you need, all that type of stuff. But you have to embrace everything that you're dealing with because this stage of the season is worth it. And the more you kind of get those reps, the more comfortable you are. Being uncomfortable through this playoff journey.
So what would it mean to you guys to have a chance to wrap this up in 5 and get yourself some rest?
Whatever your motivation, you need to kind of grab onto, whether you want rest, whether you don't, like, let's say don't play with your food, whether, like the risk of injuries, all that other, like it's closing out a series is always difficult. And so you got to find whatever it is to motivate you to, get over the hump. And it's fun to embrace that challenge. Like, come with the right approach tomorrow. Don't assume just because we're at home and feed off the home crowd that, Denver's just going to lay flat. Like, they're going to fight. They're going to play. You got to expect that they're going to play well. I think Jason Tatum I like the quote he had yesterday after the game. They were talking about what he did to slow KD down. He was like, you have to approach KD of what he's capable of and not what he's doing. Like, I like that quote in terms of you got to approach Denver in terms of what they're capable of if everybody's playing extremely well. And the level that they can get to, we got to match that and exceed it if we want to, close out and get it done tomorrow.
Steph, the Bay Bridge series begins tonight, and there's a game, your game tomorrow, their game tomorrow. Do you sense that energy around the Bay with both where you guys are at and baseball starting and just kind of the general busyness of this time of year in April?
Yeah, it's always been like that, going back to the Oracle days where you'd have the parking lot full when we come in for games, and they would the A's would be having a game, starting off their year and all that, and we'd be coming in for a playoff series. So it's a great time of year for being a sports fan for sure. Whoever owns all these parking decks around here.
With the last game, Coach Steve Kerr talked about coming in with like an edge and the importance of trying to get the sweep. But at the same time, you guys were coming back here anyways. Is there a higher sense of urgency going into this game so you don't have to go back to Denver just to get it over with?
Again, whatever motivation, yeah. We don't want to go back to Denver. We want rest for the next round. Whatever it is, like, we just want to win, take advantage of the opportunity. Coming into the series, if you have a chance to close it out in 5, that's what you'd ask for. Like, a sweep would have been perfect, and we'd have taken that. We had a chance to steal one at the end, but, we've been through this before plenty of times where, you understand how difficult closeout games are, and you just got to figure out a way to get it done.
As someone who takes it as a loss if your free throw touches rim, how did you live with the last game?
I kind of laughed it off. I think I was pointing at Denver's bench, and they were counting how many misses I had because it was so it was like an out-of-body experience. But you leave it in the locker room, come in and get some reps. Like, in my head, I'm still shooting 100% and going to approach, tomorrow the same way, and never lingers too much.
And the other thing is, I don't know if you saw the video, but the plaza out here with the big screen was like jam-packed with people and stuff. Obviously, fans are tuned in. First potential closeout game in this building. What do you want to see?
Just get off to a good start and try to control the tempo and give our crowd something to get excited about early, create that atmosphere, and then hopefully ride that wave the whole 48. Like, just, again, have the right approach coming out in that first quarter. And, the coach talked about it in Game 4, like, whatever, we try to come out too frantic for that knockout punch. Like, there's a way to play aggressive and full of energy and not feel like you're rushing or trying to throw haymakers every possession. So we got to find that balance, and we will.
You guys unveiled that small lineup at home. Games 1 and 2, we all went crazy because obviously it was a huge plus. You take it to Denver, it wasn't as good. I think it was minus both games. Whether it starts or whether that's what you end halves with, do you think there were some vulnerability shown in this, or you guys still feel the power of that group?
Both. Understanding the vulnerability of if we don't take care of the details defensively in terms of if we don't foul. That was the biggest difference. All the analytics, not that lineup, but the entire trip to Denver was just the fouling. There's some numbers on like how efficient we are as a defense. Obviously, if we don't foul, even if they score a couple buckets, like it's not the end of the world. You can keep the tempo going pretty high, but that unit we can't foul. We have to play without fouling, rebound, and use our speed to our advantage. And that's where that superpower kind of gets unlocked. And you got to assume that Denver's going to try to force us into those bad situations because we're a little smaller, and they might have some answers for that. But we still can control the things that we can control in that situation, and just be a little bit smart on defense.
Steph, you've come close to playing 82 games a handful of times, a couple seasons of 80 and another of 79. And this meant a lot for Looney to do this. Did you get a sense throughout this season what the quest he was on, just to kind of shed this notion, even for himself, that he was an injured guy early in his career, and just to show his durability?
No doubt. I think he's very outspoken about it going into the season, and we've all been around to know what he's gone through physically the last 2 years. So it was a big goal for him. Only he could probably tell you some of those games he woke up in the morning and is probably feeling it more than others, and had to really drag himself to that level of availability that he wanted to be. But the fact that he accomplished that goal was tremendous. I mean, it was so impressive. Was that like 5 guys in the league did it? Loon being one of them. So it's a pretty amazing accomplishment on the work that you have to do every single day to get right and provide energy out there on the floor, no matter how many minutes you're playing.
Is it something? I mean, you've done almost everything in this game. Is it something you'd still strive for?
You trying to trap me?
No, I'm not.
This quote. No, I'm just saying this quote. I'm gonna say something next season when
No, I'm not
we
trying
take
to.
a back-to-back
Okay.
off, and it'll be like, oh, I remember you said game 4. How about this? I'll say yes. It would be great to play 82, but I don't know the powers that be. Sometimes might take that power out of my own hands. So
Yep, I wasn't.
I'm just messing.
Jonathan obviously had that first big dunk, but I think it was like a minute later you hit him where he was racing past Denver's defense. You and Draymond had kind of a big high five right there. Was it more the moment, or was a lot of that high five between you and Draymond seeing Jonathan run down the floor like that and have an impact that quickly?
I think that play was the and one he had right before the halftime break, and that was because Draymond saw the mismatch, and we didn't really have a play call, so I just kind of threw it to where I thought J.K. could go get it, and he got an and one. And then we were just being great teammates and celebrating National High Five Day last week, so that was it.